a soul connection, soul to soul connection, heart to heart, make us start with the soul connection.
Welcome to the premiere of Sixth Sense and Beyond, where we're going to bring the spiritual world to the world. I'm your host, Christina Andrianopoulos.
And I'm Catherine Glass, psychic medium.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that Catherine Glass, professional psychic medium and renowned, who was born with the gift, has joined me on this great show. We're going to have a great, exciting show,
Oh,
right?
definitely, yes.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great things coming. We're going to do an on-air live reading. I'm going to give a reading to a special guest. And we're going to be interviewing Chris Flisher, a wonderful astrologer. And if you want to have a reading on the air, you can write in or call in.
Absolutely, you can. Our guests will be invited, our viewers will be invited to have a chance to have a reading with Catherine or any other psychic medium that we bring on the air. And you can write into readings at sixthsenseandbeyond.com. Readings at sixthsenseandbeyond.com. And each show, we're going to have a specialist in the field. And what are some of the specialty areas that we're going to be addressing?
Okay, that's right, Christina. We're going to be bringing on various professionals who are also psychics and mediums as well, healers, astrologers, tarot readers,
past life
regressionists, hypnotherapy, all the things that kind of address the world of healing and consciousness and the seen and unseen worlds.
And the reason why we decided to do this, number one, is first of all, the popularity of some of these shows on other networks are so popular and growing, and we decided we're going to bring it right here in our backyard. Right here in our backyard, we're going to have our very own psychic medium and paranormal show.
Yeah, and demystify the mystical.
Yes, and you know what? If a ghost appears, what are we going to do about it? We're going to have an adventure.
we're going to talk to it.
And you know what? We're going to always wrap up the show with our psychic tips.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many things you can do in your own lives. Everyone is intuitive, and we'll get into that later. But there are a lot of little things you can do to make your own life more clear, adventurous, aware, and grounded at the same time.
Almost having your own barometer, but from inside.
Yeah, how to listen to your own information.
And then if you need some help, you can always call a specialist like
we don't want to teach myself out of a job.
You won't, because you're a star now on TV. And you know what? We have to take a break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
Let's make a soul connection, soul to soul connection.
Welcome back. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing our first guest of our first launched show, Chris Flisher, who's an astrologer. And before I start speaking to him, I just want to mention that I grew up with both parents who were astrologers and interested in astrology. One was a professional astrologer, the other one dabbled, but she was a natural. So I grew up with astrology all around me and in my life, and was always fascinated first by the pictures and the symbols. And then as I grew older and you know, would hear about it almost daily, my mother saying, you know, reading the horoscope for the day, beginning to see on a deeper level how it applied to my life and to the world around me. And it's very, very exciting. It's a wonderful tool, and I'm very excited to have Chris here today, Chris Flisher.
Thank you very much for having me on. I feel honored to be one of your first guests. It's great.
Welcome.
Really a great
Welcome
honor.
to our show, Sixth Sense and Beyond.
And beyond.
Tell us a little bit about your background so that everybody, the audience, can get to know you a little bit.
Sure, yeah. I was about 20 years old, and I was working at this place, and a woman walked in and asked me my birth information, which I happened to know. So I knew my birth date, my birth time, most especially my birth time, and of course the birthplace. And then 2 days later, she came back with this most amazing, accurate reading of who I was, knowing things about me that no one else knew at all, about me personally, except myself. So from that moment on, I was hooked. I said, how could a person who doesn't know me at all have this much knowledge about me as an individual without any former knowledge of me? So it just was incredibly insightful. And as of that point, you know, it was 40 years ago, I've been studying astrology ever since. I've just been totally enamored. I was hooked. It was just so fascinating to me because it's constantly validating. You know, the truth is always there.
Right. Now, everybody, I'm sure everybody reads their horoscopes in the newspaper.
was gonna say, yeah.
So everybody loves to know a little bit about themselves, but why don't you delve into what the constellations mean, especially going forward, especially in 2013.
Sure.
And also, wait, what's the difference between like your horoscope in the paper and then going to an astrologer and having an in-depth thing like you do?
That's a great
Talk about
huge
that.
difference. Well, first of all, I mean, I want to address your topic. Most people know their signs, and most people love to read their astrology, but what they don't know is they're only reading one sign. And if they knew what their rising sign, which is a separate piece of the astrology makeup, if they knew that and they read both of those pieces in the weekly passages, they would have 85 to 90% accuracy of the themes that were going to be happening in their week to come.
Wait a second.
So,
this is news that
This is
I
not
didn't
news.
know.
No, it's your rising sign. It's called your ascendant.
But it's news that I didn't know. So,
Right. So, for example, you're a Leo, right?
Right.
You're born in what, August?
Right. And
So
my
you read your
rising's
sun sign.
Aries.
So your
So if
rising
you
is
read
Aries.
those two, if you read Leo and Aries each week,
Right.
you would know exactly what was going on in your
read
life.
both.
And the
That's
way you can find that
fantastic.
out is that is dictated by the birth time, the time of birth. Not everyone knows the birth time. Some people are adopted, some people don't have their birth records, but we can work to that to find that out. And most hospitals do have that information, so you can get that information if you really pursue it. Your mother knows, she was there, obviously. So when you find that information, then you get more granularity. Granularity is the fine-tuning of the astrology chart. So it's one thing to say, you know, not all Virgos are going to win the lottery today. It's just not going to happen. But a Virgo could win the lottery depending upon what else is going on in their chart. Because when you do an astrology chart, you see where all the planets are in the specific houses, which is where the scene of the action takes place.
So we could talk about this for a whole show.
Absolutely.
Easily.
But we've asked
Yeah.
Chris that there is a major phenomena happening in the heavens. I'm calling it phenomena because I'm not the expert. But talk about what that is and how
Okay,
it's
yeah.
affecting us in
2012
2013.
and
The
beyond.
2012 is somewhat of a marker. It's definitely a marker on the calendar because it does
It was a
represent
marker.
it does represent the end of the Mayan calendar. So that is a little bit hyped, and there's a little bit of misconception about the importance of that. I will argue that is an important time. Absolutely, but it's not as if the world's coming to an end. I heard
Thank
people.
God.
I heard people in Russia are running around and buying sterno and candles and stuff like that and water because they think the Earth is going to end. What's going to happen is we are in the process of a slow, gradual change out of a certain type of energy into a new type of energy. So we are leaving the male-dominated, war-driven mentality of hostility and greed and anger and aggression.
Yahoo!
And moving our way into the warm, luscious, feminine, which is a warm and luscious presence of you two beautiful women. So it's great to be able to have that happening, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Okay.
So this is being caused by Pluto in Capricorn, which is the first time Pluto has been in Capricorn in 248 years.
Wow.
So it's back there, which is actually representative of the birth of the United States, so it's a real big cycle. And then it's what it's called squaring Uranus, which is at the early degrees of Aries. And so with Uranus as squaring, it literally forms a 90-degree angle across the chart. Anytime there's 90-degree angle in a chart, you have activity, significant activity. So all cardinal signs will be feeling it. Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn will feel it, as well as other signs that have similar qualities that fall into that. Like the air signs will fall into that. The fire signs will all feel the impact of that, but we'll feel it as a what's called mundane level, which is the global feel it. And we're going through that shift right now, getting away from the military-industrial complex and working our way towards shared resources, communal living,
Community,
a community, a feminine environment, and when we see these resources like people losing jobs and businesses closing and stuff like that, those are all the tearing down of the restructure.
Wow.
And then
It's
the
like a rebirth.
the rebuilding comes from, well, you know, instead of having, you know, sharing, I mean, instead of, you know, having stuff to yourself, we now begin to share.
Oh, that's
and the
great.
example that I use all the time is that if you look at any American town, you'll see 7 houses in a row. Each of those houses will have a lawnmower, right? Every house has a lawnmower, but they only use that lawnmower 1 day a week. And so in that little metaphor is the essence of where we're headed. You
So
know,
they can share the one lawnmower.
one lawn, everybody move the lawnmower down the street, and
Chris,
you only
can I
need
ask you
one.
something?
That's really interesting.
Can I use your snow blower the next time it snows? Right?
Okay, it doesn't work with snow blowers. It only works with lawns. But my point is that it's not so much the literalness; it's more the metaphor.
Sure.
You know, it's the same idea of having the basketball hoops. You know, you have basketball hoops all down the street in these towns, but the kids don't play together because they all have a basketball hoop in their backyard.
Right.
They need the basketball
So
hoop.
it's a sharing mentality.
It's a sharing
That's
mentality.
Where we're moving
And because
from now forward, from 2013 now
That's
forward
great.
and beyond.
And
because-
you know that also because of your intuitive counseling ability, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
it's, you know, as
That's
the resources collapse and there's less for people to have, they are forced
To share.
They're
We have to
forced
play
share.
nice.
We have to play nice, exactly.
Now-
I want him to explain. Do we have time for him to talk about a little bit, back up the basic, like for those who don't really know astrology or
Sure.
think it's woo-woo or something, you know, like when you talked about angles of planets, like
Right.
explain that how planets have energy and that does affect us,
It does.
our reality.
It clearly does.
And the way they're in relation to each other
Right,
is
so
the angles.
It really is the relationship. That's what astrology is all about. It's about the relationship, the co-relationship between two different planets to each other. So when we have Pluto, and it's based on geometry, it is incredibly accurate because I meet people all the time and I do charts of them, and it's validated daily. I mean, you can't script some of these things. You just say things and people say, yes, it's exactly true. So you get provable information all the time, and you can see it happening. And it's always about a theme. It's not necessarily about the specifics. You know, mediums and psychics may say maybe more specific, where astrology is more theme-based. So we have, you know, each planet has certain characteristics, and where they are in your chart depends upon the stage setting of your life. So there's 12 different stages in your life. There's the home stage, there's the career stage, there's the relationship sage, there's the money stage. All of these are like stage settings, just like this here.
Sure.
And where you are, which house you're in, which is the activity time, and where it's at, where you are at that time, dictates the outcome. And so you have to know that. And that happens through the astrology chart, which is only done through a professional reading.
Yeah.
That's where
and I've
really
had mine done, and I'm telling you, and I also say that it's sort of like the forecast.
It's
Right,
very
it
much
can
like
really
the
help
supposed to
you
rain,
make
you
decisions.
know.
It is a weather forecast.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or wear sunblock. If it's going to be really sunny, wear sunblock. Or it's so in metaphor.
It's a metaphor, yeah. And I also use the same idea of the game of Clue. I don't know if people ever played that when they were younger. But it's always about a person, a place, and something in the action that dictates that little event.
That's great. That's a good way to put it, too.
And it's really, really valuable to have your birth chart done. And if you don't know your birth time, a good astrologer can get very close.
That's
Can
great.
get
and
very
and they
close.
can get in touch with you.
Absolutely,
Your
I recommend
website's
Chris.
popping up right now. Why
Yep.
don't you say it as well?
That's www.turningofthewheel.com.
That's
and
great.
That's the best way
Chris
to get a hold of me.
Flisher.
Chris
See,
Flisher.
We're so glad you are our premier guest.
I am
We're
glad
going to
to
have
be.
you back.
You'll be back. Oh,
I'm
you're going to be
glad.
our resident astrologer, yes.
yes.
He should do like astrology forecasts every time he comes on.
I
We
can.
should. That
I
would
can
be
definitely
great.
do that.
That's
Absolutely.
good.
It's a lot of fun. It's
Can
very
you just give maybe one tip in reference to 2013 or into
Absolutely.
2013?
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
Just if you can just wrap it
So
up with that.
coming into May and June of 2013, Uranus and Pluto are going to be in an exact square at about 11 degrees, which I know maybe mean nothing to people there, but it's going to mean a time, and up to that time, which is what's sort of we consider to be applying pressure, between now and then, we're going to see dramatic changes. And we're already seeing it now with the budget wars that are going on. We may actually go off that cliff that they keep talking about, the fiscal cliff, and it may be a total restructure of this whole groundswell. But that things have to be torn down in order to be fixed. If the roof were not leaking, we would not fix it.
That's true.
But the
That's
roof
a good
is
way to
leaking,
put it.
so we've got to
May,
fix it.
June is where it's going to be a lot
Well,
of
you're going to
that.
feel activity up to that point. It's not, like I said, there's no moment
Right,
that's going to
right.
snap and say, boom, happens today.
Exciting, so exciting.
Oh, that's so great. Okay, we have to bring you back because we'll bring you back way before May and June so you
Yeah.
can tell us more. And
hopefully
this is
I'll-
great.
Stay tuned for more Chris Flisher.
Yes.
Thank
and
you
we'll-
very much.
And we'll be right back.
All right, thanks.
Make a soul connection. Soul to soul connection.
And welcome back. Right in our own backyard, we're going to do a live on-air psychic reading for our wonderful volunteer Jeannie here, who has bravely given herself to us for me to read. So I'm going to treat this as I would in my office, a reading. Some of it might get a little personal, but I'll be aware of that this is a public setting.
Yep.
And again, I want to thank you for being here. So
thank
the way
you.
I'm going to begin, you're welcome. The way I'm going to begin is I'm just going to tune in and read you, and if you have any questions, Jeannie, that come up, or I hit something specific that you want to know more about, just let me know. And if something pops into your head that you'd like to know more about, go ahead and let me know that too.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I pick up about around you, Jeannie, is that you're a very hard worker. And I feel that you have worked hard a lot in your life. And I can see that, now this could sound general, but I can see that there have been in your past some real hardships and some things that you have been through that have actually made you very strong and sort of weathered many storms. As I tune into your field deeper, I see a beautiful purity of heart that's there that you often long for, to be able to live by that in yourself and in your life, but have a habit of sometimes protecting yourself because of past. So Spirit wants to encourage you that I feel that the worst is behind you in your life experiences, and that you can begin to really more and more trust the goodness in life, and trust that that you can, it's okay to come out and reveal more of your love and share yourself more openly, and take a risk and not be so afraid to be vulnerable in the world, in life, and in your relationships. Do you have any questions about that?
No, it's
Okay.
kind of spot on, actually.
Okay, all right. I do want to let you know that I'm aware of the presence of your mom around us right now. I feel that she's come forward, and I feel it's a mother energy. I haven't described her to necessarily validate that it's her, but I feel that there's a very protective energy that she brings forward in this woman. And I'm also getting cigarettes or smoke. Did she smoke, or did you smoke?
Yeah, she did.
And
I used
don't,
to, yep.
I don't know if that has anything to do with how she passed, but I do feel a wheezing with her, and a heaviness in her chest toward the end of her life, and also a deep fatigue with her. I can't go, I don't have time to go deeper into it, but I do want to let you know that she is around very strongly. And did she ever fuss over her hair, or not happy with her hair and try to, is that you?
Maybe.
Who fusses with their hair, like wants their hair a different way than it was? It's so funny, I'm getting information
No,
about
I'm not
that.
sure, because I was 5 when she died.
Oh,
So.
well, okay.
Yeah.
Because she's showing me that she loves your hair and what you do with it, and that she always wanted to have more curl, is what she's saying. It's pretty funny. But anyway, she's with you, and she's telling me that she has been an angel on your shoulder all of your life, and that she never leaves your side. And it's no surprise to me now that you said that she died when you were 5, that she has come in as such a strong presence. So this is something you would take deeper, into deeper reading on a private level, and we could get more information. I don't have much time. Her love is with you, and she definitely is protecting you and watching over you, and she has been. I'd like to also see if there's anything last here that Spirit wants you to know moving forward into the coming new year. It's a great time to have a reading. I feel that there is there's a period of a little bit of residual, not hardship, but struggle or resistance in the beginning of the year, and then after February, March, April, May, the spring, things are going to start moving better for you. And I feel health-wise there's something important about that. You're needing more energy, and I feel that your energy is going to be kicking up more. I would recommend you think about maybe a new health regime or fitness plan for yourself, telling me to tell you to get out and walk more, get in touch with nature, put your feet on the earth, let the air and the trees and the sun feed you, because that's going to lift your spirit and give you more clarity and strength for the coming year. Do you have a son?
Yes.
Yes, he's lighting up around me as well. And have you been concerned about him, or?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's going to get better. You're going to be able to connect with him on a deeper level in the spring and moving forward into 2013. And that, it's all going to be okay. It's going to turn out, and there's going to be better communication for you guys in the coming year.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it will. It's going to improve.
Yep.
And your mom's trying to help too. And I leave you with her love and blessing as well.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Jeannie, for offering yourself today.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That was our on-air reading for our first episode of 6 Sense and Beyond.
Make a soul connection. Soul to soul connection.
Welcome back, and glad to have you back again at 6 Sense and Beyond, our premiere show. And you know what? That psychic reading was so fantastic. I mean, I was watching it, and you picked up on her mother, who passed away at 5 when she was 5, as well as her son.
Yeah, her mother came in very strongly, yes.
That is unbelievable. And so, again, we encourage you, if you'd like an on-air reading, just write readings at sixsenseandbeyond.com, and you may be the lucky one being chosen to be on our show.
And we're going to have many good readers on. It may not be with me every time, but there'll be wonderful readers who will give you that.
Absolutely. So the ending of the show is I like psychic tips.
Okay.
So I thought today we'll just keep it elementary and say, what about our sixth sense, our intuition? So talk about what the sixth sense is.
Well, they call it the sixth sense because our 5 senses are what? Sight, sound, touch, smell, and hearing. So the sixth sense is your intuition. And the intuition is that little voice inside that we often ignore, or we squash it with our intellect. It's usually your first hit, the first thing that comes to your mind, that gut feeling. We call it I just had a gut feeling about that. I always say go with that. If you're giving, as a psychic and a professional, giving a reading, it's often the first thing that comes is the first thing I give, and it's usually the right one. When you start going back and forth in your mind about it, you're not in the intuition anymore, you're in the intellect.
Well, I always like to say that when you let's take 2 types of characteristics. Let's pretend one is your intuition and the other one is your intellect. The intellect is dressed perfectly, always on the dot of doing something, and your intuition is more somebody who's a little bit artsy, is a little bit more relaxed about doing things. So your intuition sort of has that characteristic than the uptight.
It can feel more flowing and dreamy. However, intuition can also be sharp as a razor. You know, I mean, there are people that are intuitive and it's like they go with their gut. You know, high-profile salespeople or finance people also can have a very good intuition.
Because they've gotten better at it, right?
Absolutely. It's a muscle that gets stronger as you develop it, definitely. And the way to connect, one important tip I want to give as a psychic tip, if you want to get more connected to your intuition, you must take time as much as possible on a daily basis to get quiet, whether that's sitting in meditation or walking in nature and grounding yourself on the earth or looking at the sky and the trees, because it quiets your busy mind and gets you to that deeper level of your inner mind, which allows you to have that presence of mind, which is when the intuition can be heard. And then the trick is to follow it. You have to follow it, or you'll
and stay in
never
the
know.
moment too. Staying in the moment allows you to be able to hear what's going on inside or out.
Absolutely.
Rather than most of us go, we're thinking about tomorrow or the next day or the next hour.
But how many times have all of you or you, Christina, said, oh, I knew it, I should have done that. That was your intuition.
Oh, that's
that
great.
First hit.
And that's a great way to end our psychic tips, because we want to thank our audience for watching us, our viewers for our premiere show.
And we want to thank Chris Flisher for coming on today, and Jeannie, our guest. And if you'd like to contact me, I'm Catherine Glass at www.catherineglass.com.
And that's popping up as you speak.
Yep.
And you can have a much lengthier reading, just like Jeannie did. And also,
Chris Flisher, how to reach him.
Yes, and his popped up as well. So, and what we'd like you to do is please tune in every Tuesday at 9:30, or come and watch my other show come on TV and watch my other show, City Vibes Metro, on Thursdays at 9:30. This was a great premiere show,
It was
isn't
great. It was so much fun.
I know. I've gotten so much feedback when we were talking about premiering that I believe this is going to skyrocket. And guess what? You, as a viewer, are going to take us to the top and maybe even become national.
There you go.
I think
so
that's
keep
a great
tuned
thing.
into our show.
Yes, and keep staying in the moment as well.
Yes.
Right? Good. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Blessings.
Let's make a soul connection.